Hey everyone, today we're going to do pen tool practice number 2, where you're going to learn or practice drawing around an object. And it can be any object. We just want to make sure it's not too simple and not too difficult. So you might have to do this once or twice to find a perfect object. I like to use the keyword silhouette. So the first thing we want to do for this is before we even open Illustrator, or you can open Illustrator and then open a new tab and go to Google and do a Google image search, type in an object that you think would be cool to do a drawing of or trace around. So I love horses. So if I type in horse, what's going to happen? It's going to bring up realistic pictures. So I like to use the keyword silhouette. That's because it is less busy for me to look at while I'm trying to trace or draw around it. If I was tracing or drawing around a realistic object, it'd be a little difficult. The next thing I want to do is choose or select something that is easy to begin with, but not too easy. So for example, this first one here, you can see the hair in the mane and the mane here, and the tail is a little detailed. However, this guy here, his tail is a little less detailed and there's not too much detail going on. So this would be a better choice than that. We're going to practice using the pen tool, drawing our straight lines and our curves, but we don't want it to be so difficult you're going to get frustrated. This one's also a little bit simpler. Maybe this one's a little more difficult than that. This one gets a little bit too detailed with all the little parts of the mane. So you can go ahead and scroll down. You can do a different search. Let's say you wanted a, I don't know, skateboarder. Maybe you wanted a skateboarder. Now, one thing I'm going to caution you against is selecting something with another shape inside of it like this or this, that's negative space. This one would work because they're two different shapes. So that shape you'd trace around and that shape you'd trace around. This one would work because you could go inside of this and around. Just for this particular practice, we want to make sure there's not an part of an empty space. This one would work also. So I'm going to go back to my horses. I like horses more than skateboarders, just my personal preference. I'm going to take a look at this one. Let me see. And I'm going to go back up. That one looks like a good one to me, at least for this first practice. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to open Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to stop my share. And give me 1 second to open Adobe Illustrator. And I'm just doing this in the same order that you guys would. And I'm going to share my Illustrator and we're going to open a new document. My horse, or the thing I selected, is more horizontal. So I want a vertical paper because I'm going to trace it near the top and we're going to end up copying it at the bottom. If your object is taller, like you're doing a person maybe that's standing, you want to change the orientation to this one. I'm going to show you how to change that later. Also, it doesn't matter. Let's just select what we've been using, 8.5 by 11. Make sure it's inches. Change the orientation if you need to, and hit create. Now, because I didn't have Illustrator open yet, what I'm going to do is, and you guys won't be able to see my screen, I'm going back to my Google image search. I'm right-clicking, I'm copying again. And I'm going to then come back to my Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to right click. Oh, maybe I didn't do that the right way. Sorry, friends. Let me go here. I'm going to right click, copy image, come to Illustrator, right click. It's not letting me paste, so I'm going to Control V. If you right click and it has paste as an option, go for it. If you right click and it does not have paste as an option, click Control V. Here's the other thing you need to do if that's not working for you. For instance, on my home computer, when I copy and paste something from a website, it pastes the link. It's very annoying. So what I do is in the Google image search, I will right click, and instead of copy, I will right click and save as. So I would have right clicked this horse. I would save it as horse silhouette somewhere in my folder. I would come into Illustrator and I would do file open, and I would open that in Illustrator and then copy and paste it into this new document. Those directions are also in the assignment. Now what we're going to do is, without distorting it, we're going to hold the corner if you need to and make it bigger or smaller. So I am going to come up here, and remember I made mine portrait because I'm going to trace it here and then I'm going to copy it down below. If your item is taller and you would like your artboard in the landscape, one thing you can do, and this is a good trick to learn anyway, is go to Window, Artboards, and then click where you see Artboard 1. So this is my Artboard 1, this whole thing. I'm going to click this little, what looks like a piece of paper and artboard there, and then I can change it to landscape if I wanted to and click OK. Now you can see what it does is it changed my artboard to landscape. I want mine portrait, so I'm going to go back again. I'm going to click that. I'm going to change the orientation of my artboard and click OK. The next thing we're going to do is, after you resize it, and again, it does not matter. I could make it, I actually will make it a little bigger. I'm going to make mine just a little bit bigger. It doesn't matter if your picture hangs off the artboard. That does not matter at all. We're going to select your image if it's not selected. So if it's deselected, it won't have the box. If it is selected, it will. And go to Object, Lock, Selection. And that way, our image is now locked. I'm going to close this artboard window, and I'm going to do Essentials Reset just to clean up my workspace. You can do that, but you do not have to. The next thing we're going to do is select the pen tool. So if we come over here, I'm going to select the pen tool, and we want to come down here or over here and change the fill to none. So we don't want it to fill in with the color, and we want to change the stroke to a color that will show up against your picture. My picture, I chose a silhouette, it's black. So I could do red for my outline, or hot pink would show up, or yellow, or any light bright color. I probably wouldn't choose blue or purple or brown or black or gray because it won't show up around the outside. That's going to be important for you to see. I'm going to select, again, if your picture, let's say you have a silhouette of a guitar and it's brown, then maybe you want to select a brighter color. If you have an outline of a duck and it happens to be red, then don't select red for your stroke. Okay, so I've got my fill as none, my stroke as red. We can keep it as 1 point. If you like it a little thicker, you could go up to 2 if you'd like. And then what I'm going to do is, we don't want to draw or outline it from all the way back here. We want to zoom in a little bit, and that's because we want it to be as detailed as possible. So I'm going to take my magnifying glass, and I'm going to zoom in. Now your picture might look a little bit blurry like this, and that's just because it's pixelated from where we copied and pasted it. If it's too bad, what I want you to do is maybe select another picture. Again, that's where I said it might take you a selection or two. It might take you a couple tries to find a good picture. I'm going to go back to my pen tool, and remember what we learned about the pen tool. I'm just going to do it outside of the image now. What we learned about the pen tool is, if we just click without pulling, it creates a straight line. So this does not look pretty, this doesn't look very realistic to go along with the neck of our horse. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to select my pen tool again. What we need to remember are the tricks. So again, if you just click, it becomes a straight line. Once we click and pull and create our handles, you'll see we will be able to use our techniques. So just there, I'm going to undo, undo, undo. I clicked, I went here and I pulled, so I'm lining this line up with the ear. But then when I go here, what happens is it wants to continue the curve down. So I go over my handle and I click Alt, and I'm going to move the handle up. It didn't mess with my ear at all. And then that lets me click and pull, and I won't have to do that every time. So now that I have a nice curve here, I'm just clicking and pulling every now and again. Remember, when you have a change in direction or a corner, similar to how the ear was up top there, if you look at it, it's kind of like a corner. What you'll notice is that, and let me bring this over a little bit. What you'll notice that you won't need that sharp corner until you get to an edge. So for example, let me come down here, pull a little bit there, and then when I go there, if it doesn't line up, I'm going to press Alt, that's real teeny tiny, move it up there, and then I'm going to continue my tail. Now I'm going to go all the way around my image. I'm not clicking every single little square inch. I'm trying to do as much as I can, knowing that I can follow a curve. If I make a mistake, let's say I click here and I realize that I'm not following the outside or the contour line of my shape, I can delete it. I can undo. Both will do the same thing. And I could continue. If I click off of it for some reason, like let's say you stop, you have to save it and you have to restart. Well, then what you do is when you go ahead and open it, or if you've deselected it, select the path, select your pen tool again, and go back to the last point you would like to add to, and you can see where it says anchor and has a slash. You can click on that again and you can continue your path. So next step is to continue, continue all of your outlining your silhouette. All right, guys, now I've taken some time to vector around everything, and I'm to the end here. So I'm going to finish up, I'm gonna press Alt and get that handle back there, finish up my ear. And you'll notice when I hover over the very last one, I'll zoom in for you. Back to my pen tool and start here again. When I hover over this last one, you can see that little open circle. So I'm going to click and drag a little bit to get my point, and it connects. What that does is makes the entire thing now a closed line or a shape. So what I'm going to do is click my my selection tool, or click V, and I'm going to Control 0. That's going to bring me back, and then I'm going to zoom in for you guys to see what I've done. So now what you can see here is my entire horse has been vectored around with a red line. If it's hard for you to see it, you could always select it, and we can change the color if we wanted. Change the color or the stroke if it's too thin. Maybe change it to 2 points, see it a little bit thicker. We don't want it too thick because then it's going to take away the shape of it. So what you can see here is I've got an outline around my horse. I'm actually going to turn it to red because I'm going to copy and paste this in a second, and I think yellow is just too light on the background here. So what you can see is I've got my horse vectored around, and I noticed a spot down here I wasn't really happy about. I'm going to move it back to 1 point so that you can see these two spots here, this spot and this spot. When I was doing it, I knew I messed up. So what I want to do is click my A, or direct selection tool. And this is when I can go and I can click on the anchor point, and adjust it. Undo. If you mess up, undo. Remember, Control Z is our best friend. Click on this anchor point. I'm going to move this guy up and over. Click on this anchor point. I'm going to move him up and over. And you can see you can now go around to all of your items or all of your anchor points and just double check everything. Like this isn't out far enough, so I'm going to slide that in just a little bit and move. Undo. Move him in. Slide that up a little bit, adjust it however you'd like, and then Control 0 brings us out. Control 0 lets you see your entire artboard. Now I'm going to go back up here and do my selection tool, or V. I'm going to select my path, right? I'm going to Control C, Control V. I'm going to copy and paste, and somewhere else on the artboard, we still have the one line around our shape. Don't just move it. Copy and paste. We still have that line. I want you to leave that there so I can see it. And then I want you to bring this one down here. And if you want to, you don't have to do this. If you want to, go ahead and fill it with the same color to see that it looks like a solid object. You can, of course, leave it just like this and then go ahead and save. You should be saving as you work. And then you're going to drag and drop this file into the assignment to turn in. So essentially, I should still have your picture locked with your pen drawn stroke around the outside of it. Select the pen stroke, copy and paste it somewhere else on your artboard. You can fill it if you would like up here. Save it and then drop it into the assignment. And you should be now a pen tool professional.